Hey guys, we're hanging out today at Indiana Tech University with the catching coach here, Patrick Collins-Bride, and they've got a great yard in a cool city, Fort Wayne here, and they have both a catching coach and their head coach as really catching guys, former catchers, guys that have done it, guys that really know the position. And we've been talking a lot over the last few hours, the last couple days, about throwing mechanics stuff, right? About how guys get their footwork in the right place to be able to deliver the baseball on time with velocity to be able to throw runners out. So let's go through what you guys teach here. What's the philosophy that you guys teach here?
Well, we talk a lot about priorities in regards to every aspect of catching. And the philosophy is our priority, number one, is that we have an accurate throw, right? And in order to have an accurate throw, we're talking about consistency. So when we're talking about consistency, throwing to bags, that means we try to master our craft every single day we're out here, and we try to make this as routine as possible. So we make sure that whatever we do behind the plate, we do every day, and that's definitely incorporated in our throwing drills. Now, when we start talking about after accuracy, the next thing we're talking about is how fast we get it down there, right? And what we really try to stay away from is trying to throw the ball as hard as we can, because we know that our goal is we're up against a stopwatch. And the biggest measures of error and gain come with what we do right back here and not in regards to ball flight. So overall with our footwork, what we're talking about is we're making sure that, number one, our feet are short. Because if we have long feet, it's just like pitching. When we're talking about a guy who's consistently missing a certain spot, it's usually because the legs don't match up with the arms, right? So if my footwork's long, my arm swing's going to be long.
Like all this stuff the guys are teaching with the gain ground, this big gain ground step. Now you're running into the problem of stepping on the plate. A lot of guys that are doing the replace, the hop. I mean, we've been around a little bit. I mean, we've seen all these different philosophies, and it seems like the whole thing makes sense. But then when you do it in the game, now you're losing time, right? Now you can't get the ball, you're in on time. So what do you guys do to keep all that footwork, all that stuff together underneath the catcher?
Underneath the catcher. Okay, so to make sure we're underneath ourselves, first we make sure that what we look at the most is that we stay behind the plate. Because if we get in front of the plate or across the plate, that means we start here and all of a sudden we get out here. So if you're looking from a side angle, obviously my feet are not underneath me the whole time, right? They're going forward in some aspect. And then secondly, we make sure that our jab step, our right foot, right? We always have to pick our right foot up and put it down somewhere. That foot is in line with the pitch location. So we're going to talk mainly about the pitch down the middle. But that jab step, this right foot happens wherever the pitch is at. If it's inside, it's here. If it's outside, it's here. If it's down the middle, it's here. So that this transfer can happen right in front of our face. So now we're talking about footwork being short. Now we're talking about our transfer being short.
So can you show them what it would look like on a, let's say, a pitch right here, I'll set up as the hitter here. You hear runner go, throwing to second base, this ball ends up here. What's the footwork look like right here?
So first step, it's boom, side, catching in between the shoulders, and it's transfer out, and it's here. And everything is behind home plate.
And you see how short he's stayed with everything? He's keeping his hips underneath his chin, he's keeping his feet underneath his hips. He's got all this power to be able to drive through the throw. He's not losing anything by getting to this kind of a position, dropping the elbow, having the ball take off on him. What about a pitch down the middle?
Down the middle, it's simple lift land we call, so it's just right here. It's catch, shoot, and everything comes back through here. Same thing behind home plate. Can't get in the way of the cover swing, everything is good to go.
And then this ball on the outside, it's a little bit tougher. There are all these competing philosophies. We're trying to figure out how you can keep the baseball inside of that frame of your shoulders, but not losing time and momentum stepping out here. So what do you guys teach as far as stepping to this baseball out on this half?
I think Ethan was playing pretty well.
Yeah, so the biggest philosophy, like Pat said earlier, was being able to keep the ball between your shoulders. So it's being able to read the pitch, and most of the time you're setting up outside for this pitch anyway. So what we do is we jab out, catch between our shoulders. That way everything's right in front of our nose. And it's just up here, through, boom, come through, and then you just finish everything square towards your target.
And as that baseball comes in, you want to be focusing on deflecting the ball in here, but we're also talking about not extending too far. What happens if a guy extends too far to go get that baseball?
Yeah. I think extending too far, with everything here, the theme is that distance equals time, right? The longer something is, the longer it's going to take. So if we're receiving out here, all of a sudden either it's going to take us a long time to get there after the fact, or it's going to take us a long time to get our arm back in the proper slot. So more time.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, and you're going to be more flexible, you're going to be stronger in here the closer to the body that you get.
Right.
The more out here you get, the more unstable you get, right? So as the baseball comes in, you deflect it out, you're going through the footwork. Let's get back to getting the baseball out of the hand. Now, guys out there, you're checking out this video, we're mostly going to be talking about footwork. If you want to talk about arm path, check out the Austin Wasserman video. We break down all this arm path stuff. He has this really cool water bottle drill where you can feel the hand dropping, you can feel yourself using all this momentum here. So let's talk about what you guys feel like is the priority to be able to keep the hand behind the ball, get the ball out in front of the body with whip.
Well, in regards to what we do with the transfer, mainly, is we do kind of the pulling the chain philosophy, or the bow and arrow. So we make sure this transfer happens in front of our face, and that if you're looking from a side view, when this footwork happens, it's almost like the ball stays on the exact same axis, or the exact same plane. So when my footwork happens, I stay behind the plate, but this front foot comes forward, and the ball almost stays right here. So I'm not letting the ball travel. I mean, I'm just letting it stay right here. So now we're cutting down distance as well, and that we just make sure that we get this ball back to our ear. Our shoulders got to be pointed to our target, and that, as me and him were talking about before, that this elbow does stay a little bit below the ball.
And the hand is behind the baseball the whole time too. That's the thing I was telling them. I didn't figure out until a couple years ago, after my career is over, to be able to get a consistent release out of every throw you make, you have to make sure that the hand starts up. If you're one of these guys that curls down, first of all, you're making that throw a lot longer, but even if you're curling down and coming up here, now it's a question of whether this is ever going to get on time. And when it's on time, I'm sure it's great. You even have some extra whip out of this motion, but you're not going to be consistent. Consistency is the key. I mean, every catching guy that I've talked to, nobody talks about, we got to get the 1-7 guy in here. We got to get the guy that throws the ball over the yard, but every once in a while it's on the bag. We're talking consistency. We're talking about accuracy. They want that throw right there in the bag. But it's not just the second base, right? It's third base too. So we were talking a little bit about how to most efficiently get that third base throw off. We're talking about depth in the box, things like that. How do you guys teach the third base throw?
Third base throw, it's again dependent on pitch location and where we're setting up the box. So if it's a pitch down the middle or inside, we're going to stay behind the runner. If it's a pitch that's taking us outside, we want to stay inside the runner and inside the lane. Because just from a base running perspective, third base is the easiest bag to steal. Like, as a catcher, you know if you're going to hose a guy or not.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, can I get it there in just a decent time? Can I be accurate? Again, number one priority. So we're going to make sure that this guy, the hitter, is not in our way, and that this pitch location isn't going to determine whether he's out or safe.
Right. And so much of it is just about getting it out of the hand. Just like Pat said, usually third base is taken off the pitcher, so you don't really have time to gear up and make that big time throw. And you don't need to either. I mean, we're talking about 90 feet, and if you're gaining ground here, now by the time you get rid of the baseball, now it's looking more like 88, 89. I mean, you've got a pretty short throw that you should be able to make, especially because you have so much momentum that you can build off these legs, right? So you're really pushing hard as that baseball comes in. So let's say you're getting this baseball here, you're getting this baseball here. Where are you transferring that on your body?
Well, the biggest thing is to always be able to try to gain momentum towards third base. So if it's inside, we want that drop step back here, so it's boom, and then shoot forward, and then bring it back here to the ear again, and bring it out. And if it's down the middle, same thing, you got to let it get to you, obviously, because if it's down the middle, it's hard to get your shoulders. So over here, it's connection drops that boom, and then Pat said earlier about the outside pitch. If it's anything out of third on, we're really taught to go almost gain ground with that right foot. So it's catch out here, and then stay behind this apex. So then you're right there, have that clear lane.
Yeah, so that lane becomes throwing in front of the batter instead of throwing behind there. And if you're trying to gain speed, because this guy's got a great jump, the way that I always teach my guys is as you see that baseball come in, you know where it's going to end up typically, right? You know the pitch that you're catching, you know what you called, hopefully, right? So as that ball comes in, I always teach my guys that you want to cheat to go that direction, not to stand up, but to go that direction on a line. Try to catch that baseball on the right side of your body. So as you're coming through here, if this is this inside pitch, you don't need to wait for it to come in here and then catch and transfer. You can start pushing on the legs and get that transfer as the right side of your body is reaching that ball. But that ball on the other side of the plate, that's difficult, right? That's about as tough of a play for a catcher to make. And sometimes if you don't need to take that step, you could just push on that leg out there and make that throw, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you've got some options to be able to build stuff, but a lot of it is based around rhythm, right? I mean, something that I have guys that I work with do is they do line hops and they start to hear themselves clicking their cleats on the field and what that sounds like. It has to be in a certain sort of rhythm, right? So something that you guys do is the rapid fire thing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like what that does as far as building rhythm within guys' throwing patterns?
Yeah, so the rapid fire drill where we're having the feet chopping the whole time, it just makes sure that our feet are always moving and that we're always ready to react, because we do this type of footwork back here to make sure that we're always able to react in the right way. But sometimes, I mean, this is still a very athletic position, and it's catching. It should be the most athletic position because you never know what's going to go on out there. But in regards to the rapid fire drill, that rhythm, just making sure that both feet are always moving and they're always moving in sync, and that one foot's never stuck in sand, and that the whole key of it is that there's constant movement. When you look at rhythm, whether it's pitching, whether it's hitting, whether it's catching, rhythm is constant movement, right? There's a fluidity to it. You ever see someone dance? Like, rhythm comes from dancing. You don't see dancers stop. You really shouldn't see a hitter stop. You shouldn't see a pitcher stop. Same thing with catching. So that's really the basis of it.
It's a huge part of it, yeah. I mean, guys are always talking about catching being such a different position. It does take a different mentality, like we've been talking about throughout the last couple days, but really it's still an athletic position, right? If somebody is doing something on the mound, keeping their body moving all the time, building momentum through constant rhythm. Same thing with hitters. Everyone's talking about be moving the whole time that the pitcher's moving. The catcher should be moving in rhythm too. It's great stuff. Patrick Collins Bride, Indiana Tech. They were all-star gear, so you know you can trust what they say. On a beautiful yard and nice place. They really know their catching stuff. They really take it seriously here. Kelley Catching.